my job as a magician is to wake people up and to remind them that A, the world is full of surprises, B, that the world needs more mystery. I mean, I think that's really important. We live in a technological age where we think we figured most of it all out here, and the magician reminds us that reality is subject to change without notice. When I pull somebody up on stage, instead of humiliating them or embarrassing or making jokes at their expense, I try to build them up and treat them as royalty. And when I have one person on stage, there's a part of everybody in the audience that's on the stage with that young man. And so I'm trying to nurture that and remind people that there's hidden treasure in you that you don't even know about. On stage, the metaphor, the symbolism is coins. There's coins hidden inside of you. But there's riches in each and every one of us, more than we know. And each one of us is a magician, and we've forgotten that. And when we watch a magician on stage, my job isn't to go, look at all these cool things I can do. It's to remind you that you're the magician in your life with the power to transform your world and everything you touch. And that's my job, to reawaken people's sense of possibility, not only in the world, but within themselves. Magic, I feel, is live. There's something that gets lost when it gets squashed flat into a medium. Television is very good at kind of attracting an audience to magic through sensationalism or big stunts, or the way Darren Brown has kind of captured the imagination of Europe at this point, because his fame is spreading, and even we know him in America now. But to really experience magic, it has to be one-on-one in lifetime to really feel it, because there seems to be mistrust with this medium of television, because there's so many politicians continually tainting it. It's impossible for the magicians to fool you more than them. One of the most important things is creating the illusion of intimacy with an audience, even if you can't see the audience out there. And Lance has it, Channing had it. They've transcended the technique so much that they can be, if you notice, he's not looking at what he's doing at all. He's mostly looking at the audience or looking away. So there's this sense that he's almost more interested in you out there than what's happening here. And as soon as it does happen, he kind of hands that out. Now did you notice that? It's not like, hey, ha, here's the double dove, boom, hey. He's not doing the Cheezola style magic. He's underselling everything so he can concentrate on his audience. Max Nathan has that. It's the eye, that like master gaze. That what's going on inside of this performer's head is as interesting as what's happening in their hands. And again, I come back to David Blaine, I come back to Darren Brown, performers like that. What's going on inside of their head? That's what people want. It's not so much about the technique. He transcended the technique. He invented all that stuff. Wow. Interestingly enough, my biggest fans and my biggest supporters know how my stuff is done. You understand? Really interesting. That the biggest supporters of magic in the magic industry are people that know about the tricks. And that's not the important part. It's the presentation and the styling. I think presentations like this are very healthy because they gather people together. Oh, we're going to learn the tricks. Oh, it's not about the tricks. It goes a little bit deeper. So unless we had shows like that, and I'm not saying I'm not a big supporter of Valentino, the masked magician, and
it was no longer masked at that point.
And they were very mean-spirited specials. They had a very kind of nasty, cynical '90s edge, early millennium edge to them whenever they were done. But they were nasty. They were done breaking the code. This guy's bad. He's a bad, and that creates news and controversy and makes magic, a subject for the media. But it also got a lot of kids interested in magic at the same time. And they get to know a little bit, that little peek behind the curtain gets them to Oz. They get to see a little bit, but it leads deeper and deeper and deeper. Everybody can learn a couple of tricks. It's wonderful. You learn a couple of tricks, learn a couple of card effects, a couple of sleight of hand effects, maybe some automatic self-working effects. And you could go to a bookstore and buy books and become a competent trickster. But there's about 4 stages of a magician's development. There's the trickster stage, which is the information gathering stage. And if a person stays with it, they turn into what I call the sorcerer phase, which is where they get serious. Because it's just as much about lighting and costuming and timing and movement and voice and dance and improv and all of these other related arts to magic as the trick, to dress up and to make that trick theater. That's the big difference. That's the difference between, you know, Uncle Nerds doing a card trick. Yeah, I don't want to see any more cards. No, pick a card and make finals. So I just want to see good magic, and that takes a lot of technique. And then as magicians get older, they learn that the magic is inside instead of in the hands or in the props, and they start using subtler methods, and that's called oracle style magic in our system at our school. And that's the kind of magic which is very internal, mental, and uses very subtle methods. And this is the stuff that Max Maven, David Berglass, young Mark Spellman, who was here yesterday, Darren Berger, and David Blaine moved very quickly from trickster into this oracular sort of very interesting, deep sort of magic. And the final phase of the magician's training is and his work is what I call the sage stage of magic, which is the elder magician who he or she puts down their life philosophy and all of their methods in a teaching form that can be passed and gifted to other generations. So learning techniques and the hows of magic will get you to a certain point, but I had to study with masters. I had to study with Eugene Berger and Max Maven and get, you know, directors and people to come in to shape the magic, to make it a theatrical experience as much as it was just delightful illusion.
Okay.
Good magic has to have these kind of steps. This procedure was fair. This procedure was fair. This procedure was fair. What happened? Because you have to build the logic vertically, one block at a time. So he has the card signed, fair. I'm not going to switch cards. Here, you take the cards, you shuffle them. My hands are empty. You're not going to believe. So everything was fair to that last moment. Wow! But the work had been done before he even started proving fairness. So the magicians are so many steps ahead of you. That's the fascinating thing, that the more you know about magic, the more you can be deceived with magic. There's a magician from Spain, television magician Juan Tamariz, who his life's work is going around the world totally astonishing and blowing the mind of the most intellectually savvy magicians. So it gets rare, it gets really rarefied on the higher strata of magic, and the simple and more complex the techniques, because what may not be happening, manipulations here in the hands, are calculations beyond your imagination in the mind.